Today we're going to be predicting the 2022 Carabao Cup Final referee. This year the final will be contested by Chelsea and either Liverpool or Arsenal at Wembley, as it always is. And it's the first time in 5 years that Man City haven't made it to the final, so there'll be a new winner this year. Here are the 22 Select Group 1 referees. Select Group 1 referees are the officials that are designated to be referees on the Premier League. What we're going to do today is categorise each referee in the Select Group 1 depending on how likely they are to get the Carabao Cup Final. Starting at the people who will definitely not get the game, those who we think are very unlikely to get the game, those we think are unlikely, and those we think are very likely to get the game. Currently in England there are 10 male FIFA referees that operate on the Select Group 1. Darren England was the most recent one, who's just been nominated by the FA. Since the start of the Premier League, not one referee has refereed the Carabao Cup Final twice. So the first thing we're going to do is just eliminate all of those officials that have been a referee in the Carabao Cup Final in the past. So we're going to colour those in red. They would be impossible to get the Carabao Cup Final this year. Last year, the final between Man City and Tottenham was officiated by Paul Tierney. Lee Mason officiated the Cup Final just before that in 2020. He's actually now retired. He's not a Premier League referee anymore, but he is a full-time VAR for the PGMOL. 2019 was John Moss, and I'm going to just quickly speed this up, quickly eliminate all of those other officials that have done a final. So that eliminates 9 referees: Martin Atkinson, Mike Dean, Kevin Friend, Andre Mariner, John Moss, Michael Oliver, Craig Pawson, Anthony Taylor and Paul Tierney. Next, we're going to highlight the referees that we think are very unlikely to get the appointment. This is purely based on the fact that they've only recently been promoted from the Championship to the Premier League. So this year, the referees who got promoted from the Championship to the Premier League are John Brooks, Tony Harrington, Jared Gillette and Michael Salisbury. We're categorising these guys as very unlikely to get the game. It's not to say that they won't get it, it's just based on the trends in the past, it doesn't seem like the PGMOL will put a newly qualified Select Group 1 referee in the final in their first year. What we're going to do now is go back one more season and look at those referees who got promoted to in the 2019-2020 season. So that was Darren England and Rob Jones. We're going to colour them also in orange. They were promoted in the 2020-21 season. So that leaves us with 7 referees. So what we're going to do now is add the number of games that each one of those referees has officiated in the Premier League, just so we can get a sense of their experience in the top flight. As you can see, what we've got is Stuart Atwell, who's done 149 games, Peter Banks 34, David Coote 60, Simon Hooper 39, Chris Kavanagh 97, Andy Madley 38 and Graham Scott is on 89. We're going to now categorise a few of these referees into unlikely, just based on the fact that they have the least amount of games in the Premier League. So that would be Peter Banks, David Coote, Simon Hooper and Andy Madley. We're going to turn those yellow and we would say that they are unlikely to get the Carabao Cup Final appointment. And therefore, by process of elimination, that leaves us with the last 3 referees: Stuart Atwell, Chris Kavanagh and Graham Scott. And we're going to turn those green. These are the referees that we think are the most likely to get appointed to Carabao Cup Final. So there's a number of factors that we haven't been able to include in our process as we determine who are the most likeliest referees to get the Carabao Cup Final. One of those is who the referee supports. So for example, Michael Oliver is a big Newcastle fan. If Newcastle made the final, he wouldn't be able to do that game. And similarly, if Sunderland, who are Newcastle's arch rivals, got the final, he wouldn't be able to do that too. So depending on who makes the final and if the referees support those teams or if they support a team that's a rival of those teams, they won't be able to get the game. Secondly, it could be that the referee has officiated one of the finalists very recently and there may have been a highly controversial incident. What the PGMOL might decide to do is to actually not give the referee that appointment just because of the proximity of the previous incident and the final. They might decide not to give them that game. And lastly, and probably most importantly, is we don't have access to the observations or the assessment marks that each of the referees have been given. We don't know who's been performing well based on the marks. So if one of the referees is really outperforming one of the other referees, that's going to bump them up the list and it's going to put them in the driving seat. So there you have it. Our 3 predictions are Stuart Atwell, Chris Kavanagh and Graham Scott. Those are the referees that we think are most likely to get the Carabao Cup Final. Now what we're going to do is quickly check who Football Manager 2022 predicts will get the final. So here we have it. I've just gone on holiday for the whole season and we are on the 27th of February 2022 looking at the Carabao Cup Final. We're going to attend it. It's actually predicted that Liverpool will make it to the final and they'll be against Man U. So obviously we already know that that's not going to happen because Man U haven't made it to the semi-finals. And what we're going to do is quickly run this game and see who Football Manager has picked as the referee. Keith Stroud is the referee that Football Manager has predicted would make it to the Carabao Cup final. We think this is really just almost impossible that will happen. Keith Stroud is a Select Group 2 referee, a great official, but it's never happened before that a Select Group 2, a championship referee, gets the Showpiece final, Carabao Cup final. So who knows? Football Manager may know something that we don't, but I think our process has been pretty solid in determining who we think might get it. So let us know in the comments below, did we get it right? Do you think there's another referee who's likely to get the game that's not Stuart, that's not Chris, or that's not Graham? Let us know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you're still here, make sure to like the video. If we get 50 likes, we'll do the same again for the FA Cup final. And make sure to subscribe.